Let's start with the petal. Again, we need clay cray number 7. You will need a small amount of marshmallow clay. Clay the cray by Deco. So, we take a small amount of clay. Better to use a small amount of clay. Then we need gradually new pieces of clay. Why is this done? To prevent the clay from drying out in the process. The way we are all equal will need paint into it. When the paint is mixed, the clay begins to dry much faster. So, better to do it in small pieces. They took a small piece and did it. Then we take a small piece again. I took quite a bit. Marshmallow clay. Look, that's the amount. Don't even know which part. 6/7 part. We need. Better to take modern software. It also makes the clay velvety and non-sticky. We need. Again, I repeat why I'm using clay cray number 7 at the moment. Since it is whiter, let's say modern. Modern is blue, green label. When it dries, it becomes more grayish or yellowish. There is no pure white shade. Even if white is added, it will be different. To create snow white flowers for us, I use clay cray number 7. It is whiter. There is also super white clay. It is perfect for white flowers. And need a small amount of white paint. I have zinc white. So, white zinc 1. Because zinc white, when mixing for example, clay petals always remain transparent when it is dry. Zinc white gives such an effect. They give whiteness, but when it dries, they do not lose their transparency. There is also titanium white, which completely removes transparency. Well, if you need, then they give whiteness, of course. But the petals lose their transparency, and the petals will be so plastic. We want to have a natural effect of transparent, quivering petals. So, we mixed the clay. We mixed a small amount of marshmallow clay and a small amount of zinc white into the clay. Now, we will clean it up so that it does not dry out. What do we need more in tools? You can use a veiner to create petals. This is ideal. That is, veiners that create the texture of apple tree petals. Blooming apple tree. I have a veiner. I want to show you how I will do it without a veiner for the apple tree. Just on a rose petal veiner. This effect is also great. Take the rose petal veiner. We need a stack with small balls. Regular stack. Well, and scissors also. It will come in handy. Now, what do we need to do? We take small balls, 5-7 mm in size. We need such 5 small balls. 5 balls. We leave the rest in the file so that they do not dry out. We also need starch. Let the starch stand here for now. What are we doing? We roll such a small ball. I will make a drop of it. Look. Like this. We make a small clamp and leave the ponytail. There remains a small tail like this. Now I will roll it on my arm. You can do this in a file, as it is convenient for anyone. Someone will cut it with boats. I will show you how to roll it on your hand. On the back side, we take it carefully, gently, pressing lightly with a stack. And here we capture the very edge and here also, leaving a slight thickening at the very center of the petal. What happens? There is a slight thickening here, and the edge is transparent, thin. We can also roll it out here. If you see, if the shape of the petal is natural enough, then we leave it that way. If you don't like the shape, more square corner, then cut it off with scissors. We take the veiner, put it on the very edge, where the texture is more subtle and delicate. Not at the very bottom, but here. And we press. If suddenly the petals begin to stick, it is better to treat it with starch. Well, or baby cream. Better with starch. To make the more quivery, velvety. The invoice was printed. The result is such a petal. Now what am I doing? I put this petal at the very bottom, like this. That is to the hole. The tail sticks out. Now take a stack with a ball, put into the starch, and we pass with the ball slightly at the base. It can be along the edge of the petal. We need to create the volume of the petal so that it is more natural. Because the petals are practically not flat, they still have volume. Something like this. Now I'll show you one more. Then you can leave the petals to dry. I have such a drying, now I will show you. Foam rubber. It is very comfortable. You put it, you can even add an additional band. It is necessary, with your fingers, to dry it. So, further. Take the next petal. The process is the same. We make a ball. A big drop. Press with your fingers. We make such a tail. I hope you can see the tail, and roll it out on the back of the hand, pressing lightly. So, now from that edge and from this, leaving the middle untouched. Do not roll out completely, but leave a slight thickening. We take the petal. We put it on the veiner, in this case, rose veiner, at the very edge practically, where is the most delicate texture. We press. Now we take out the petal. Then it is the tail. It will flatten out later. We press it with finger. It turns out that we have such a thin, good tail. Apply to the base of the rose petal a little starch, so that nothing sticks. And we go through at the very base. If we glue it a little, then we remove it and put it again and go through like this. Can you even do it? You can press the veiner like this. Create a bend. We do all this by a trial method. You will feel how to do it in the best way. The texture remains on the petal and a very delicate, natural, I believe, the bend and volume of the petal. You can twist it with your fingers like this. It is better not to use the stack here, so as not to remove the whole picture. The texture. Here's what happened. Let's do it to the end. I'll show you. Then the petals will dry out. Let's not wait for final drying. They lie for 10-15 minutes and we will glue them. Why don't we dry it completely? Because I do not dry. It is more difficult to shape after complete drying. The shape of the flower itself. Here we can already regulate. It is revealed. We can make a more open flower look, or create a bud. Semi-open. We will only then adjust, watching the process of drying. But the petals will already be glued. We create the volume. We can walk with a small ball along the edge. We do all this carefully without pressing hard. Firstly, so as not to spoil the drawing, and secondly, so as not to break the petal itself, because they are thin and delicate enough. Why am I doing on the leg? Because I glue and I have such an assembly without wire. Someone does with wire. Plant the petals on the wire for complete reliability. I collect in this way. Petals adhere perfectly. Nothing falls off anywhere. The main thing is that the leg is not too thin. Here, if it's too thin, it can break if a flower falls, if you touch it carelessly. Since we are not planning to drop out frame with flowers, I think everything will be fine. We create the volume. It's small here. Like this. It can be done on the arm. Previously, I did not do this on a veiner, the volume of the petals, and I did it on my hand. Let's say that I made a texture and started to create volume on my hand. There is a drawing on the reverse side of the petal, no longer natural, but a drawing of my palm. Here, I decided to try this. I like this effect. Roll and create volume on the veiner itself. Again, if you feel the size of the petal, or rather the shape itself, is not very comfortable, then you can cut something off somewhere. So, this petal is almost ready. Again, we twist the leg, put it on the base. We take a stack with a ball and add volume. Here's what we get. That's all. We leave it to dry. What can I do? A continuous process practically. While these petals are drying, we make other flower petals. You do, it takes about 10 minutes and you start gluing the petals that have dried up. We glued it, gave it a certain necessary shape, and make the petals further. Here. The main thing is not to overexpose. The main thing is that they do not dry out. Now they will dry out a little and I will show you the assembly. How are we going to glue it? 10 minutes passed, we check the petals. Are they dry or not? Yes, a little dry. Now we will glue them. We take the glue, we take the stamens and petals. So, we coat it with glue. We will glue it directly to the stamens. We coat the little tail. the leg, and we glue but leave a small distance. Do you see? So that it was not glued at the very base, but somewhere 2-3 mm remained. We glue half of the leg, approximately. When we are fully gluing, I will show you how it will be seen. We glue the second petal at a short distance from the first. Again, glue half of the leg. Why don't we glue it tightly? Because the real petals show this distance. The leg is visible. If we stick it close, then the leg will not be visible. They glued the third one. There are a couple more to glue and everything will be fine. So, and one more. We glue everything at approximately the same distance. We try to make them at least at an equal distance from each other. The petals. So that there is no tight gluing, so that there are gaps. So, we have glued. Look, as they are half baked, if we turn them, they will begin to open. Go down a little, since the leg is still wet. While assembling, it can be seen that the legs of the petals are glued in half and the leg is visible. When we glue the sepals, they will be visible through the gaps between the petals. It will look more natural. Now we form the shape of the flower itself. Either we want an open shape, or we want to create a more closed flower. For example, this one. One petal will be slightly lowered and the others will be raised. You can create any shape. So, I will show you how we will dry it. We take such a sponge. I wrap the oasis in cling film. It is very convenient to dry on it. What are we doing? Look, I insert and lower slightly to hold. Or, the wire holds and the flower is lightly in weight. Here, you press it lightly, and we gave it such a shape. If we want it more open, then it can be omitted below. The petals will be more open. I'll raise it slightly. The petals will be in half-open state. So we leave it to dry. Here's what we got. The same thing we do with other colors. We will put on petals that will dry out slightly and will collect other flowers. What else do we need? We still need to make the buds. The flowers still have buds. You can make the buds of almost closed flowers. Inside with stamens. We will do these too, but we need closed buds. Small ones. How will I make them? These are special foam balls. They are in the form of droplets. Blanks for buds. So, I have no such ones. I will make them myself with hand. I will make them from marshmallow clay. How is it done? We take a small amount. We will make them by hand. I will make from marshmallow clay. You can make them out of foil. The foil can be gently crumpled and shaped into a droplet, for example, or a ball. What else can you do? As I understand it, what can be done from napkins, for example, it's very convenient to make from marshmallow clay. It doesn't take a lot, so it is okay. What are we doing? We roll the ball. Here is one. The ball does not turn out perfectly even, unfortunately. It doesn't matter. It will be completely covered with petals. We try to give the shape more round. Press down with your fingers so that there are no irregularities. I'm making a droplet shape. The base is more rounded, but the tip here is conical. The result is such a drop. Once we got the bud. Now let's make another one. We need 6-7 such buds. Roll it out again. And we make shape. You can generally do it round, for example. Small droplets in the shape of a bud. 2. We make 6 of these. When they dry up, we will insert them into the wire. You can, of course, do it right now. You can do it now. You need to take a wire for this. These are the segments. So, we make small loops on the base. It is better to do this with special tools. I'll just show you how. We make a loop. We take super glue, it is better, since it will hold better. I have a gel moment. The first one. We put a small amount of glue on the loop and glue it at the base of the bud by inserting the wire. That's all, and leave it to dry. The same thing was also done in the other. We will make these buds about 6, and then we will make petals for them. And we get buds. Now that we have the buds ready, we start making the petals. What are we doing? Everything is the same, only we make the petals a little smaller in size than those that we did for the flowers. So, we take 5 small segments, 5 pieces. I'll show you now. You have to do it by eye. Feel like they fit in size. Not too big and not too small. It is not necessary to measure out a certain amount, a certain size. It can be done by eye. Leaves and petals may vary in size. Not too important. We do all the same. Making a drop. We roll out the droplet. Small petal. We take the stick, only it can be made more round. Do not pull it out. We take the veiner. And we print in the same way. After we print it, we will do it in the same way. We put at the base. And let's create the volume. You can use starch to prevent the stack from sticking to the ball. If the stack does not stick, then you cannot use starch. Walk over the petal and create a rounded volumetric shape, so that the petal covers the base for the bud. What did we do? What shape? We set it to dry. We put it. I put in a foam dryer. Next, take another piece. We do all the same. We make such a small piece, roll it out. Do not forget about the leg that remains at the petal. We need it anyway. First, it is convenient to hold the petal. And secondly, it is very useful while gluing. So, we are correcting the leg. We tighten if necessary. Next, we take the stack and go through at the base. You can thin right at the very edge. We add volume to the middle. And we walk along the very edge of the petal. Thus, we add, rolling, the bottom of the petal becomes thinner, more transparent, which gives realism and beauty. This one will be very small, but it doesn't matter. It may vary in size. One is slightly larger, the other is slightly smaller. The main thing is that they are not too different. And then there will be one huge and the other very small, approximately one size. We print, roll out the base. So, we put it. There are 2 more pieces left for 2 petals. We press. We put it on the base. And roll it out. The last one is remained. Next, we will glue it. Just while we are making the petals, we are doing the 5th, and the 1st is already dry a little. Not quite dry, but grabbed a little. It's good. When the petal is wet, it is not very convenient to stick it on, in the sense that it can wrinkle. Therefore, we need to dry the petals a little, so that they're slightly windy. While we are doing the 5th, the first 2 have definitely dried up. Now we will leave these petals for a couple of minutes. Here. After that, they will dry out and we can already glue them to the base. We leave it to dry. In a couple of minutes, we will continue the process and we'll glue it to the base. 5 minutes passed. The petals are dry, now we will glue them. So, we take latex glue. The base is for buds. We start with the smallest petals or medium. Let's take the middle one. What am I doing? It is necessary to coat with glue. Let's coat the inside and a little leg. So, Now, we apply it to the base. We will glue the leg too, capturing, and we apply the petal itself. That's the way. We glued. You can glue it in order as the petals or flowers are located, in turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I like the assembly a little different. In the bud, this is still not particularly visible, but the base will be completely closed. It will not be visible that you have a base inside under the petal. I will show you now. I glue one petal on one side, then coat the other petal with glue, the middle, and a little leg. Now we apply on the other side, directly opposite this petal, as if covering the whole base. We do not press hard. We do not press strongly. Otherwise, the petals may wrinkle because they have not completely dried up with us. So, here's what happened. Now we glue here. Here we glue the petal. We will continue. So, we take the next one. We apply so as to close the base on the other side. Press the petal a little bit. It is glued with one side to the petals that are here. So, take another petal, larger. We coat. Do not forget about the leg, which must also be missed. Now we need to overlap with the other, slightly grasping this petal, the previous one. If you can't see the base somewhere, then close the base. To completely cover it with petals so that it cannot be seen. So, one small petal remains. We will do it now as if it were a little open with us. Opened up. Now we will only smear the leg. We coat the leg and glue it to his place. So, we glue. We apply and we press. It turns out that we have a leaf, as it were, a little moves away and sticks out, as if it starts to open up. And leave it in the same position to dry. We make all the other buds in the same way. Roll out small petals. More voluminous, more round. Look, we made this bud. So I also made buds. All the same happens. These certainly have different shapes. Because the petals are different, they stick in different ways. It's good, because they should all be different. Of course, they cannot be exactly the same in nature. The petals themselves are arranged in different ways. They have a different shape. So, what are we doing now? All the buds are ready. Now we are going to make sepals. That is, look, we have a flower ready. We need to make sepal, which will be located at the base of the flower. Next we'll make a leg, a stem, so, and then we will be engaged in toning.